Welcome to the deep dive.
Okay, so today we're opening up a pretty heavy file. It's about career suicide, really,
Mm.
and cultural memory, and this very quiet, complicated attempt at a comeback.
Yeah, we're talking about Michael Richards
Uh,
and his return to stand-up comedy, nearly 20 years after that infamous 2006 moment that just, well, vaporized his public life.
exactly. And our mission here in this deep dive is to really unpack the source material around this comeback.
Right. Because for us, it's not just about, one guy's story. It's a cultural study, really. We need to kind of dissect these two identities he carries.
You mean the beloved icon versus...
Yeah, the universally loved Kramer, the physical comedy genius, versus the figure who's basically synonymous with public disgrace. And we want to see what his 2025 re-entry tells us about where the lines are drawn now for public forgiveness in Hollywood.
That tension is just... It's huge, isn't it? The contrast is kind of staggering. If you're around in the 90s, you hear Michael Richards, you instantly picture Cosmo Kramer. Oh, absolutely. High energy, the crazy entrances, the noises, just this beloved weirdo from Seinfeld.
Mhm.
Won 3 Emmys doing it. Hard to overstate how big that character was.
A total phenomenon.
But then, if you maybe grew up more with the internet, that name,
Mm-hmm.
it probably connects straight to that grainy video from 2006.
Laugh Factory incident.
Exactly. The viral video that just ended his career, instantly.
Yeah.
It's this sharp dividing line, isn't it?
Yeah.
Peak global fame one day, total professional oblivion the next.
Yeah.
And that's the dynamic he's now trying to, well, perform his way out of.
Okay, let's dig into that timeline a bit and the sheer scale of that fall. Something the materials really stress is that Richards wasn't just some actor who caught a lucky break with Kramer.
No, not at all. He was a seasoned performer.
Mhm.
People often forget he had deep roots as a working stand-up comic, sketch comedy too, back in the 80s comedy boom.
Right, so that history matters.
It's crucial.
Yeah.
It means his success as Kramer wasn't just script dependent. It was pure performance skill. The physicality, the timing, those wild entrances we mentioned. He was a genuine master of that craft, and that's what made him a household name everywhere.
Which makes The Fall, when it came in 2006, I mean, the sources painted as just a public execution. It was a late-night set, Laugh Factory in L.A.
Yeah, and apparently some hecklers got under his skin, really aggressively triggered him, and that led to that just unfiltered racist rant. Caught on camera, uploaded immediately.
And the fallout was, wow,
Yeah.
historically fast.
It really was. And what's interesting, 2006 was still kind of the early days for viral video culture as we know it now, but the spread was just instantaneous and total.
Immediate public shaming, this sort of forced TV apologies.
And then just rapid, comprehensive Hollywood exile. It wasn't a gradual thing you sometimes see. The materials are clear. His public image was just detonated overnight.
And then nothing. Just silence. We're talking really 20 years where Michael Richards basically, well, he vanished.
Yeah, it wasn't just that he stopped getting big roles. This was a full-on retreat from public life.
That's a key point, right?
Absolutely, a critical distinction.
Yeah.
You look at other controversial figures, often they try to, joke their way through it or keep working in smaller things, push through. Richards did the complete opposite. Total retreat.
So what did that look like?
Well, the notes highlight it pretty clearly. Almost no comedy specials. None, really.
Yeah.
Extremely rare interviews. If he did pop up in an acting role, it was minimal, often ignored, definitely not mainstream stuff. He just wasn't visible.
He really became this kind of ghost performer. Just imagine carrying the weight of that one single recorded moment for 2 decades.
It must have been immense. And during that silence, his role in the industry kind of shifted. He stopped being a working comic and became more of a cultural symbol.
A symbol of what, though?
A cautionary tale, a living, breathing warning. Our analysis suggests he basically served as this stark reminder to, every celebrity, every studio exec, every network. One terrible, unscripted outburst can completely erase decades of success and goodwill. That silence itself almost became his defining act.
Okay, so after 20 years as cautionary tale number 1, he's creeping back out. We get to this 2025 comeback attempt. And as you said, it's deliberately low-key.
Yeah, definitely not a big splashy Netflix special or, sitting down with Oprah.
So what's the approach?
It seems very calculatively modest. He's playing small, intimate clubs, shows in L.A., New York, just testing the waters.
Why that way?
Well, the strategy suggests he's maybe prioritizing catharsis
Yeah.
and having a controlled environment over, say, immediate cash or mainstream approval.
Mhm.
He almost needs to face the audience he offended, like in person, right?
Yeah.
Without the buffer of a big network production.
And the material itself, this is the core risk, isn't it? It's not jokes about airplanes.
No, not at all. The sources confirm it's focused squarely on confession. His new stuff is apparently tackling aging out of fame, wrestling with being known only for his, quote, worst moment.
And he's addressing cancel culture.
Directly. But from the perspective of someone who got canceled, before that term was even really a thing.
He kind of has to talk about it, doesn't he?
He has zero choice. I mean, if he ignored the 2006 incident, the elephant in the room would be, like, screaming. Right. The audience wouldn't let it go. So he's trying to frame his set as this search for personal growth, expressing regret, but delivered through stand-up.
But here's the tricky part, based on the analysis. Is the audience there for the jokes anymore? Or are they there to watch the reckoning? To see him sweat?
That's the million-dollar question, a really powerful one. And that tension is perfectly captured in that specific line that got leaked from one of the early sets.
Oh yeah, the rebrand line.
Exactly. He apparently said, people don't yell Kramer at me anymore. They yell racist.
Yeah.
That's one hell of a rebrand.
Oof.
Incredibly dark, hugely self-deprecating, and very high-risk material. It forces everyone in that room to stop thinking about the goofy neighbor and start thinking about the guy who said those things.
Wait, hang on. Why is that self-deprecation so risky? I mean, if he's owning it, shouldn't that help? Isn't that what we kind of expect now for celebrity redemption? Admit it, say sorry.
Yes, but the nature of the transgression is everything here. When you're dealing with racist slurs, that kind of really dark, high-wire humor, it can backfire spectacularly. Instantly.
Works stiff.
It only works if the audience truly believes it's coming from a place of genuine, deep, internalized pain and remorse. If it feels like real catharsis, maybe it lands. But if it feels like he's trying to be clever, or worse, make a joke out of the trauma he inflicted, yeah, the show's over right there. He's basically testing how far humor can go when the subject is a profound racial offense he himself committed.
Which brings us right into the bigger cultural analysis. This is really the heart of this deep dive, isn't it? He's testing the absolute limits of public forgiveness.
He is. And the timing of this attempt is so critical.
How so?
Well, the sources really emphasize how much the comedy world, and maybe culture generally, has shifted since 2006.
Yeah.
Back then, the reaction was pretty much immediate, permanent exile. That was the consensus.
Right. Zero tolerance.
But today, today there's a much more complex, sometimes frankly exhausting public conversation about accountability, apology tours, redemption arcs. Richards might be gambling that this evolved appetite for public vulnerability could actually work in his favor.
And comedy itself has changed too. The 2025 scene really values introspection, doesn't it?
Totally. The notes point that out clearly. Vulnerability is almost like currency now in stand-up. The era of just pure observational stuff has maybe not disappeared, but it's been heavily supplemented by confessional comedy. Hannah Gadsby's Nanette is maybe the peak example.
So Richards might actually fit into that trend now.
That seems to be the hope, or the angle. His raw honesty about his past, about the incident, might resonate more powerfully today than his old Kramer slapstick ever could. He's basically offering himself up for public dissection.
But there's a huge caveat there, right?
A massive one. We have to remember, vulnerability, when it's tied to a historical racial incident, it absolutely must be paired with what feels like real, palpable remorse. The audience has to feel like they're watching therapy, almost disguised as a comedy set.
So it's about the feeling he creates.
Exactly. If they feel he's genuinely grappling with what he did, then maybe the performance becomes this shared emotional experience, a reckoning. If they don't feel that, then it's just a sad guy making uncomfortable jokes.
And that emotional tightrope walk is complicated even more by the generational thing, the audience divide.
Oh yeah, huge factor. For older audiences, Gen X, maybe some boomers, the nostalgic power of Kramer is still immense. They watched him live for years. He was part of their cultural landscape.
But for younger people, Gen Z,
for them, it's different. They probably weren't watching Seinfeld reruns every night. They likely encountered him first, or most prominently, through internet history. He's that guy from the racist viral video. Maybe he's even been memified in that context.
So the context is completely different. Fixed.
Never.
Negative.
Right. That lack of the 90s goodwill, that nostalgic cushion, it makes them potentially much harder to win over. They don't have that positive association to balance out the sheer awfulness of the 2006 incident.
So, which view wins out, Kramer or the guy from the video? That's going to shape whether this comeback has any legs long term.
Absolutely. And even if these small club shows sell out, even if they go, okay, we have to look at how the industry's reacting, Richards might be focused on his personal catharsis, but Hollywood's watching the box office, the bottom line,
And they're probably pretty nervous.
intensely wary. Mainstream studios, networks, they're keeping their distance. We've seen redemption arcs happen, sure. The materials often bring up Robert Downey Jr., Drew Barrymore, massive comebacks, sustained careers after huge personal struggles.
But this is different.
Completely different. Because Richard's transgression wasn't about addiction or, personal recklessness. It was targeted hate speech.
Mm.
That changes the risk calculation entirely for a major studio.
So they won't touch him easily.
Not a chance. Not until there's proof of sustained, widespread goodwill over a significant period.
A sold-out run in a 100-seat club is one thing. Financing a multi-million-dollar series or a movie with Michael Richards' name above the title, that's a whole different stratosphere of risk. They are watching very, very closely to see if the personal catharsis he's seeking actually translates into enough commercial forgiveness to make him bankable again.
So this whole story really boils down to that central conflict, doesn't it? The struggle to separate Kramer, the character who's like culturally untouchable, canonized almost,
Yeah, beloved.
from Richards the man, whose personal failure is just as deeply cemented in our pop culture memory, but for all the wrong reasons. It's a massive cultural litmus test. And the road back is incredibly steep. For a transgression involving hate speech, it's arguably the steepest climb there is. He's taking really the only path he has left, just raw honesty, and he's betting that 20 years of presumably internal reckoning can somehow translate into 90 minutes of acceptance from strangers in a dark room.
So the final thought for you, the listener, to chew on, given that today's comedy scene really prizes vulnerability, personal confession, all that, what does the specific comeback attempt following this specific kind of transgression, a racial one that defined his exile? What does it really tell us about the actual boundaries of acceptance and accountability in entertainment today? Is showing your scars, being brutally honest, is that truly enough to earn a second chance when the original sin involves such fundamental hatred?